The following video contains profanity and language that some viewers may find offensive. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, sister girl on films, you don't want to miss a thing, better stay tuned in. So lay back, get into the vibe, in the mood. Real reviews from a sister's point of view. Trailer reactions, movies and TV. So entertaining and authentic, believe me. So roll that footage, I'm ready to chill. Time to hang out with my sister girl. Hey, sister girl on films. Hey, sister girl on films. Hey.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Sister Girl on Films, and as you can tell by the title, this is episode 3 of Child, What Is This? Which essentially is bad movie reviewing on my channel. And the movie that I am reviewing today, y'all, I watched this movie maybe like 3 weeks ago, and life got kind of hectic, so I didn't get a chance to record that video or this video last week or the week before, however long ago it was. So I'm doing it today. And so usually when I do these bad movie reviews, I normally do it like sometimes the same day or sometimes like the next day. But since it's been a while, I refuse to watch this movie again. That's how bad it is. So if some of the information I give you about this movie ain't quite accurate, that's because I just was not about to go watch this movie for a second time. Because Deadly Illusions is by far the worst movie that I have seen this year. And even though this is only the 3rd episode in this series, it is the worst bad movie that I've reviewed on my channel so far. So that ain't saying a lot. So if you're interested to hear my thoughts on this alleged mystery, crime, sexy thriller, stay right there, child. We're gonna get right into this movie. Let's go. So Deadly Illusions stars Kristen Davis and Greer Grammer. Now, Kristen Davis was Charlotte in Sex and the City. And honey, people love her, okay? People were obsessed with the character of Charlotte. And so I feel like Kristen Davis tried to use this film as a way to distance herself away from that character. But I'm like, girl, I know there was a different way for you to be able to distance yourself from this character than to play in this piece of shit movie. But we're gonna get into it, okay? First and foremost, this movie is confusing as hell. It's all over the place. And usually I can just do these bad movie reviews off the top of the dome and just kind of recount the movie based on my memory, and I'm normally about 90% correct. Y'all, I got notes this time because I could not remember for the life of me what the hell was going on in this movie. Jesus. So buckle up, okay? Get a snack, get a drink, honey, because we're going to talk about Deadly Illusions, okay? So like I said, it stars Kristen Davis, and she is Mary, who is a very successful author who does like crime novels and things like that. And we know that she's very successful because in the opening scene, they show the inside, just the foyer of her house, honey. It's gorgeous, honey. The inside look like the outside. I said, oh girl, you got money. You got a big old water feature on the inside of your house. You got money. So in this opening scene, Mary is approached by 2 publishers from a publishing house that she's done all of her previous books with. And they're basically like, girl, look, our publishing house, we're struggling a little bit. We know that you're our money maker, so we need you to write another book. And Mary is pretty much like, I'm good. I'm retired. I'm not writing any more books. I just want to take care of my family, be the sexy stay-at-home wife, barf, and live that life. I'm good. I don't need any money. So these representatives from the agency are like, well, here's an offer for you. You know, if you change your mind, let us know. Before they leave, the lady that's part of this little dynamic duo basically tells Mary, look, bitch, I don't care how much money you got, okay? You can do this little piece of nothing book and help us out with your selfish ass. That's basically what she told her. And so Mary was like, bitch, get out my house. That ain't what she said. That's what she meant. And so they leave, and Mary kind of just sets the offer aside because she's adamant she's not doing another book. And so a few days pass, and her husband, who's played by, I forget his name, but he was the groom in my best friend's wedding. He was Julia Roberts' best friend. I forget his name. I've never thought he was that cute. He has not aged well. Anyway, that guy. So he plays the husband. And so he finds the letter, the offer, and he's like, what is this? And she's like, oh, they came by, offered me some money to do another book, but you know, I'm already done. We have enough money. We're good. And he's like, nah, bitch. We behind on some bills. I'm gonna need you to go ahead and make that thing clap and write another book. And so he sees that they've offered her $2 million. And in the offer letter, they have 2 million, like, written out in big bold letters. 2 million, like the words 2 million. Maybe because I never been offered millions of dollars, but any offer letter I ever received, the amount was like in numerical form and not in the actual words. Maybe I'm tripping, but I thought that was weird, and it seemed like something a 5-year-old would do in a script. I don't know. But after her husband coaxed her, she's like, okay, I'm gonna do it. But if I do this, I'm gonna need some help around the house. Y'all, I don't know why she need help around the house. The 2 kids that they have, they're in school, okay? Kids go to school, what, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning? They don't get home to what, 2 or 3 o'clock? Bitch, that's 7 hours of nothingness around the house. You ain't got nothing to do for 7 hours. What the hell you need a nanny for? But whatever. So she needs a nanny. So she meets up with her good girlfriend, who's this black lady. I didn't get her name either, child. I don't care. The black lady. Go call her the black lady. So that's her BFF, and so they're at the sauna, at the health spa, and she's, you know, telling her dilemma. You know, I need to get a nanny. You know, he wants me to do this, so I'm gonna write this book, but I need to be able to dedicate all my time to it. I won't have time to take care of my kids and be a mother. And so her friend was like, okay, well, you know, I know a place. You know, you want to make sure you get you a good nanny, you know, somebody, you know, really reputable, high class. So this agency, you know, they only deal with Ivy League students. I'm like, bitch, what's that got to do with you being a nanny because you go to Ivy League school? So I didn't get that. So we go to this agency, and we have to get the montage of all the goofy, unqualified applicants that Mary meets with. And so they all come to her house, by the way, and meet with her. And so after like the last one, Mary calls her friend. She's like, girl, what is this? I ain't found nobody. And so as she's on the phone, we see Pollyanna, or what's the child name? Grace. We see Grace roll up on her little bike. And she is dressed like either she saw an ad for a nanny for the 1950s, or she saw an ad that said, MILF shows student what happens when you're a bad girl. I'm not saying I know any films like that. I'm not saying I've ever, not this kind of movie. They tried to make it that kind of movie, but I'm just saying her outfit looked like she was coming to that type of casting. A casting couch is what she was looking for, not a nanny job, unless it was 18-year-old nanny gets called. But anyway. So she pulls up with her little bike. The only thing it's missing is a damn basket and Toto on the front, Dorothy. And so she sits down with Mary, and Mary's like, oh my gosh. And Mary's listening to her talk, but then also Mary's glancing at her panties that just happen to be kind of showing underneath her short ass skirt. I'm like, what is happening? First of all, we don't even know how old this girl is, but later on in the movie we find out that she's at least 21, but it doesn't allude to that in the beginning. So Mary goes to the back to do something, child, to get something. I don't remember. Hell, it was 3 weeks ago I watched this. And so while she's in the back, her kids come in, and the kids, the only ones that got some damn sense in the movie, they see her, they like, Mom, there's a stranger in our living room. And the girl, and Grace is like, oh no, I'm here interviewing to be your nanny. And the kids look at her like, bitch, get out my face. And they were like, Mom. And so Mary comes from the back, and of course, cliche, as she's coming up to the front, she sees Grace talking with the kids, and she's like, oh, she's doing so great with my kids, and I am sexually attracted to her, so we're gonna hire her. So she hires Grace as the nanny, and so of course we get a whole montage of her being the perfect nanny, and Mary working on her book for a few minutes or so. And then once we get to that, they have an amazing pool, obviously. And so Mary notices that Grace doesn't really have a bathing suit. And so she takes Grace shopping, and while they're in the fitting room, she's in the fitting room with Grace. And while Grace is trying on her bathing suit, Grace puts Mary's hand on her boob so she can touch her boob. What? What are we doing? This movie is a try hard, honey. It's trying to give me sexy, and you're giving me cringy, dry heave, vomit on the floor. So, after the whole fitting room scene, Mary is like, oh, I'm so sorry, Grace. And Grace is like, for what? Oh, Jesus. So then the next scene, we have Mary and her husband. I think his name is Tom, I think. Tom, Mary and Tom. They go to dinner with the black best friend and her husband. And so during the dinner scene, I guess they're trying to build this drama or this tension that Mary's BFF might have a thing going with her husband. Child, y'all really reaching, and you can't get to it because you ain't tall enough. So we're going to skip past that, child, but that was the point of that scene. They want us to think something's happening with the BFF and the husband. So then the next scene, they're back at the house. It's the next day or so, and Mary's outside sunbathing topless while the nanny is there. The kids at school, Nanny, why are you here? You the maid too? Like, what's going on? So she goes out to the pool area, and she puts sunscreen on Mary's back, and Mary is all aroused. I'm grossed out. And so Mary gets in the pool, and then she takes off her bottoms, and she throws them on the side. And then Grace takes the tops and the bottom, puts them on. I'm like, bitch, that's nasty. You just put on her bottoms that were all on her vajayjay, and you gonna put them on your vajaj? I ain't got time for y'all in this mess. So then Mary goes in, she gets out the pool, puts her robe on, she goes and lays on the sofa. And then Grace comes over, and Mary starts fantasizing that Grace is sucking her teat. But then it changes to her husband, and it's back to Grace. And I'm like, what is happening? What are these illusions? What are these deadly illusions that we're forced to look at? Child. So much more to talk about, y'all. And we're talking about nothing so far. So then the next scene is a recital. And so the nanny, Grace, is at the recital because Mary's like, girl, you're like a part of our family now because you suck my titties by the pool, I guess. I don't know. And so she's at the recital. And then again, there's an interaction between the BFF and the husband that we're supposed to think, oh, they're messing around. We don't believe it, but okay. And so at the recital, Mary pulls Grace aside. She's like, so we're just going to act like what happened the other day, on the couch didn't happen. And Grace is like, what didn't happen? And Mary's like, exactly. And I'm like, are y'all trying to make us think that Mary is crazy and that nothing is really happening? These are all just hallucinations in her mind. Like, what is happening? And so the whole time all this stuff is happening, first of all, there's a lot of bad acting that is happening in the midst of all these occurrences that we're like, are these illusions? Is this really happening? And so in my mind, because I foolishly thought that there was good writing happening in this film, I'm thinking, okay, so maybe Mary is not necessarily Mary, but maybe the actual author, these are the characters in her book, and we're just watching her thoughts play out as she's writing her book, which I thought, okay, that's a good idea. That's not happening right now. Jesus, y'all. So Then the next thing that happens while Mary is writing her book, they're back at home. It's like a couple days later. And so the husband is like, honey, I want you to be able to work on your book. I know the kids are being rowdy, so we're going to go ahead and just take them to school or to somewhere, I don't know. But Grace and Tom take the kids to, I think they went to school, dropped them off at school. And so the best friend, she sees Tom and Grace dropping the kids off at school, and so she becomes suspicious. I guess rightfully so, but not really, because she's a whole ass nanny, so forcing that on us. And so when Tom and Grace, they decide to go to lunch, and Grace has kind of like a crop top on, but not really. And so Tom is like, wow, I've never seen you like this.
Never seen this side of you before.
What do you mean?
I'm like, you never seen her what? I guess not dressed as Pollyanna, I guess. And she's like what? And then she stretches back and like her rib cage shows, and I guess he's aroused by her rib cage. And then, so I guess at some point they ended up having an affair. I don't know. Hell, I missed the part where they alluded to that, but they make mention of it near the end of the movie. And so they get back home, and it's nighttime, and that's it. So the next scene is Grace and Mary. They go to like a lake area or wherever, where Tom and Mary went before. They had a really romantic date. So she took Grace there. I don't know why. And so while they're there, they took their bikes, by the way. They took bikes to this little area. And so while they're there, they finally make out and they kiss, and it's really gross, and I'm going to throw up in my mouth. And so when they get ready to leave, Mary notices that their tires have been slashed. What? Jesus. So who slashed the tires? Oh my gosh. What a mystery of who could have done this. So they get back to the house, and the BFF is there talking to Tom. Uh-oh. Mischief might ensue because they might be sleeping together. And so the best friend basically tells Mary, I saw your man and the nanny together the other day. You wasn't with him, girl. You might need to watch her. And Mary's like, or do I need to watch you? And then the best friend said, bitch, say what? And she's like, I see how you be looking at Tom. And she was like, girl, get away from me with all this mess. And she gets in her car. She's like I said, watch that little bitch. I'm going home. And that was it. I was like, okay, that was anticlimactic. So they go in a house and they having dinner. And then Tom takes the kids to do for some reason he leaves the house, and it's just Grace and Mary. And then so Grace has a little snack of her own called Mary, if you know what I mean. Okay. And so she stops midway because Tom comes back with the kids in the house. And so Mary's like, honey, I'm just not feeling well. I'm going to go lay down. So she goes and lays down. And then she wakes up kind of like in a daze or something's happening. And she looks and she sees Tom having a little snack called Grace on top of the kitchen counter. So we don't know. Is this another hallucination? Is this really happening? Like, what the hell is going on? And we don't know, child. So then Tom and Grace get into an argument because, Tom and Mary get into an argument because Mary comes back out to the dinner table and accuses Grace and Tom of having an affair, and says that she saw them having sex on the counter. She's doing all this in front of the kids, and the kids are like, Mama, what is wrong with you? And then I'm like, is this all happening? Is this in her head? Like, I am confused now. And I'm okay if sometimes as an audience member, if I get confused at some point in time, but this was just overkill for a movie that's not even that good. So after Mary has all this big old outburst at the dinner table, and then she goes to bed and she calms down the next day. Her and Tom kind of talked about it, argued about it. He basically told her she was crazy. And she had nothing to worry about. He wasn't messing with Grace, and she's like, I don't know, am I going crazy? I don't know what's happening to me. And I don't know, but somehow they end up in bed together. It's their anniversary or some shit. And so the next morning, so they have anniversary morning sex, I guess. And so after all this time, Mary finally decides, Let me call the agency and find out why they haven't cashed my check yet for all of Mary's services thus far. So she calls the agency and finds out that, oh, they don't have anyone employed by the name of Grace.
I was just waiting to hear which caregiver you want to go with.
You have a Grace, right?
Sorry, we don't have anybody by that name.
Bitch, you waited this long to see about a damn cash check. How much money do you got, ho? How much money do you have? This is a mess. Okay. So then this is when stuff goes all over the place. So then once Mary realizes that Grace may not be who she appears to be, instead of her calling the police or, telling Grace, look, bitch, I don't know who you are, don't bring your ass back to my house. None of those things. She actually just goes to her friend, the black friend. And so she gets to her office and bum, bum, bum. Of course, best friend is dead, obviously. Number one, she's the black friend. Number two, she was meddling in crazy girl's business, so she had to go, I guess. And then so the next scene, we're at the police station. We're actually at the hospital. Then Tom is there and he, checking on Mary. Are you okay? And she's like, I don't know about Grace. And he's like, what you mean? And she don't seem like who she's supposed to be. And then so the police, we need to see you. We got some questions. And so they get to the police station and the police are like looking at Mary like, we might suspect that you might have killed your friend. Because they have the weapon, which were a pair of scissors that Mary's handprints were on. Come to find out those were the scissors at the recital, and Mary used it to cut her daughter's hair, her ribbon or something off her costume. And so her fingerprints were on it. But I'm like, if those were the pair of scissors at the recital, wouldn't there be multiple fingerprints on the scissors? But okay. Stupid, come on. Okay, y'all, I'm sorry. And then they also had video surveillance of maybe possibly Mary. It's her coat with like a scarf on her head and the person's glasses on, and they're like walking like a little character into the black friend's office building. And then around the same time, she might have been murdered, and then the person is coming back out. You can't see the person's face, but they're assuming that it's Mary. And then there was like a note or something that was left. So Mary is our prime suspect. But she doesn't get arrested because a black woman was killed, and nobody cares when black people are killed. Okay, so then Mary decides to do some investigating into Grace, and then she finds out that Grace went by a different name, and then so she finds Grace's aunt, who seems to have some sort of dissociative personality disorder, which then she alludes that Grace may have been abused as a child and has developed a personality disorder, so which then leads Mary to say, oh, she must be the crazy killer that killed my friend. Yeah, okay, Jesus. So then we get to the climax of the film, and then Mary gets back to her house and she finds that Grace was there and she attacked Tom. And in the meantime, we were able to see that Tom and Grace were having an affair because Grace comes with lingerie on. She tries to seduce Tom. He like, nah, I don't want none of that crazy box no more. I'm good. And then Grace attacks him with a knife, and she cuts him in such a way, it was so awfully done that, again, I thought to myself, okay, at this point, this film has to be a parody. This has to be a parody. This cannot be a serious, for real, we thought we did a great job on a romantic crime drama. This has to be a parody. There is no other option. Because it was so bad, y'all. Like, not only was this scene of him being attacked in the shower with his little peen hanging out. We didn't see it, but I'm sure Grace did. But then she has enough time. She literally does the most dramatic run to go change when she hears Mary. She puts on this little dress, and then she walks back into the bathroom once Mary finds Tom. And then she starts to talk in two different voices. And she's like, kill the bitch. And she's like, no, she's been nice to us. Kill her, kill the bitch.
I tried to stop her. You tried to stop who?
Me, you cunt. Kill her, bitch.
And I'm like, what the fuck am I watching right now? The only thing that makes sense is that this has been a motherfucking parody the whole time. That's it. That's the only, cause there ain't no way y'all thought y'all was giving us something real. Okay, so of course we have the climactic fight at the end, and Mary knocks Grace out, and then she doesn't kill her, but I'm like, she just tried to kill your husband. And then so at the end, Tom survives his lacerations to his abdomen area. And we see that Grace is now in a mental institution, but she's like acting very childlike, and she's playing with dolls and toys, and she has on like a baby doll type dress. And Mary goes to see her, and she's playing with her. I'm like, bitch, why are you visiting this person that killed your best friend, slept with your husband, tried to kill your husband, and tried to kill you? Okay. And then so once Mary leaves, we get a panned out shot of her leaving the mental institution in the same outfit that she had on, or that somebody had on when the best friend was killed. So did Mary actually leave, or did Grace somehow hurt Mary, and now that's Grace leaving the fucking hospital? Y'all don't fucking know. Okay. This was by far the worst movie I have seen this year. The acting was terrible. The script was terrible. I don't even know what to say, y'all. This was just bad. And like I said, if it turns out that this was supposed to be a parody the whole time, then this will be one of the best movies I've seen, because that is the only way that it makes sense, is that this film was making fun of this particular genre of film. That's it. Now, to me, again, it would have made a lot of sense if the whole film had been this author writing out her book, because there are moments in the film where the characters do weird things, like their behavior switches like instantly, and then it switches back in a way that it seems like an edit has happened. Like, literally, like if you're writing, let's say you're writing a play or you're writing a book, and then you write like a paragraph like, Grace smiled and warmly hugged Mary. And then you erase it and you're like, no, Grace was angry and she slapped Mary. And you're visualizing it happen. That's how the movie is doing it. Like, they do an action, and the characters' behaviors are so different from what we saw earlier in the film that it only made sense in my mind that, okay, so maybe this is actually the book that we're seeing play out, and then that'll be the reveal at the end. But no! I'm sorry, y'all, if I'm yelling. This movie really pissed me off. So the movie tried to allude that Mary may have had some sort of delusion or some sort of mental disorder as well. So she kind of connected with Grace, and she had to shut the fuck up. No, we're not doing that. You didn't give us none of that. You didn't earn any of that, Grace, no pun intended, from your audience. You gave us a shit movie. I'm sick of this. Look, y'all, do not watch Deadly Illusions. This movie is trash. I saw a comment on YouTube, the trailer, where somebody said, in watching this movie, I realized that this would have been a perfect time to have no eyes and no ears. And this was the most accurate description of this movie. I wished I had no eyes and no ears while I was watching it. So let me know in the comments below if you saw Deadly Illusions. This is the end of my bad movie review. And as always, y'all, like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, comment below, and I'm gonna see y'all next time for something else. Thank you so much for y'all support, and don't watch Deadly Illusions. I'm gonna see y'all next time for something else. Holla.
Sister girl on films. Hey.